Stai ascoltando un podcast Rizzoli Education.
Welcome back to our series. This is number 5 of 10.
Neil Gaiman is an author of short fiction and graphic novels, and is most famous for his series The Sandman, which is considered to be one of the finest graphic novels ever written, and one of the few to ever be on the New York Times best-selling list. His speech, Make Good Art, was given at the commencement ceremony of the University of the Arts on May 17, 2012. The speech itself mostly focuses on his advice to be happy, to be successful, and to be true to yourself. He tells his audience to go beyond what they are told to do, to make their own rules and be creative. He mentions his own failures and mistakes and times of discouragement, and how these moments were overcome, and to do work that you're proud of, and how that sometimes the lessons of success are equally as important as those of failure. Gaiman ends his speech by extolling his audience to go make interesting mistakes, make amazing mistakes, make glorious and fantastic mistakes. Break rules, leave the world more interesting for you having been there. Make good art.
First of all, when you start out on a career in the art, you have no idea what you're doing. This is great. People who know what they're doing know the rules, and they know what is possible and what is impossible. You do not, and you should not. The rules on what is possible and impossible in the art were made by people who had not tested the bounds of the possible by going beyond them. And you can. If you don't know it's impossible, it's easier to do. And because nobody's done it before, they haven't made up rules to stop anyone doing that particular thing again. The things I did because I was excited and wanted to see them exist in reality have never let me down, and I've never regretted the time I spent on any of them.
I find this is the perfect speech for a project with art history colleagues. An idea can be starting from the speech and asking your students what they think art is. You can show them different pictures of famous or unknown works of art and ask them to choose whether they can be considered art or not, and why. Working with your art history colleagues on the canons of art through the ages, you can then end your project by organizing an art auction. Divided into groups, your students will create a work of art. They will present it to the class using the vocabulary you've taken into consideration in your lessons, and they will then bid to buy the objects. If you're planning to work in language with your higher level students, focus on the main points. Number 1, happiness. The speaker focuses on his advice to be happy and successful. He tells his audience to go beyond the limits of what people tell you can do, making your own rules and creating outside of what is believed to be possible. Ask your students what makes them happy and work on emotions with them. You can use IELTS speaking task to cue cards. Then ask your students to speak about the last time they felt anxious, petrified, flabbergasted, and so on. Number 2. Organization. The speech is divided into 8 parts. An introduction, 6 body sections that cover a series of different topics, and an inspiring conclusion. You can work with your students on essay structure and prepare them for FCE writing task number 1, starting from the speech. Number 3. Poetic device. Use the speech to show the use of repetitions, alliterations, and so on. It will be a good introduction for poetry lessons or literature in general. Remember, you can find some extra material on the rhetoric analysis on Great Inspirations, edited by Rizzoli Education.
Hai ascoltato un podcast Rizzoli Education.